Let's make this popsicle baby blanket. Look at the colors. For me, it's very important that I don't just crochet something to crochet something, but that I make a memory. And this blanket, it was effortless to make memories. I had so much fun working up these deep saturated colors. I was having memory after memory of me as a little girl eating popsicles, and then me as a young mother and eating popsicles with my littles, and just all of these happy memories that every time I look at this blanket, I smile and I just receive so much joy because it brings me to happy times. These fun, deep saturated colors along with this super simple textured pattern. This pattern is an absolute beginner level pattern. All it is slip stitches and half double crochets. That's it. And it makes this gorgeous pattern that takes those colors and levels them up to something so pretty. Oh my goodness. Now, you might think I might get bored just working those basic stitches and there's only 2 of them. Well, that's where this color is super important. Right when you start to feel a little like, I'm starting to feel a certain way about this pattern, the color will change and it reignites your passion for this project and it keeps you going to the point where this blanket works up really fast. Now there's different sizes of blankets you can make. I have created a chart that will have all of the different sizes, blanket sizes that you could create. Next to that will be the number of chains you'll need in the foundation row. Next to that will be the number of rows that you will need to make blanket dimension. And then I went a little step further and I added approximately how much yarn you will need to make that blanket size. And one step further than that, if you're using the exact same yarn that I am using for this project, I added approximately how many skeins you're going to need to make that size blanket. Now I say approximate because everyone crochets a little bit differently. Some people crochet tighter, some people crochet looser, and so it'll keep you in the ballpark though. I took that into consideration when I mentioned how many skeins of yarn you would need in order to make the project, and I made sure you would have enough to make the project. All right. I'm so excited. Now the pattern for the Popsicle Baby Blanket, which I named after all of the amazing, beautiful memories that I had that all involved popsicles for some reason. Probably the colors. It reminds me, these colors remind me of the popsicles that we would eat. The pattern for the Popsicle Baby Blanket you can find on my website, crochetwithtiffany.com. It is going to be a free pattern. I'm gifting this to you. You can also find the link to the pattern directly by going to the description section and comment section below this video. So all you have to do is click on that link and it'll take you straight to the website to the pattern where you can print it off and get started. I can't wait. I'm so excited. All right. When you are ready to go, let's dive into what materials I used to make the Popsicle Baby Blanket. The materials that we are going to need for the Popsicle Baby Blanket will include Yarn Bee Sugarwheel Cotton Sparkle. The color that we are using is Pretties Please. Super cute. Now, of course, you can use whatever color you want. This is a Hobby Lobby yarn. It's a size 3 weight, 100% cotton yarn, and we can find this here. It's 97% cotton, 3% metallic polyester. Again, it's a size 3 weight yarn. But really, honestly, you can use whatever 3 weight yarn that you want to follow along with me in my chart. Now, the chart that I'm going to include will tell you how many stitches you'll need in each row, how many rows you will need to complete the desired baby blanket that you want. It will also include how much yarn that I used for this baby blanket. Now this is only going to work if you use the same sized yarn that I am using here. Now you can buy whatever size 3 weight yarn, lightweight, DK sized yarn that you want to use. Go for it, have fun. But if you want to up the level to an Aran size 4 weight, medium, worsted yarn, or even go bigger than that, a size 5 weight, bulky, chunky yarn, then you're going to need to adjust those stitches accordingly because the chart will not work for them. The chart will only work if you're using this size yarn and this size crochet hook. Okay, just wanted to make sure I'm clear on that. That way you don't go at this project, look at that chart, deviate in ways and then wonder why your project isn't the same size as mine was. All right. So that is the color we're working with. I'm so excited about it. Every color in this color wheel, in this cake, is just scream summer to me. I'm so excited about it. The crochet hook that we're using is the H8 or 5mm crochet hook. You'll need a pair of scissors, a yarn needle or tapestry needle just to weave in those ends, and you may want stitch markers. This is totally optional. Completely optional, but having a stitch marker to place in the beginning stitch, the very first stitch, and the very last stitch will help you to make sure you've made it all the way across your project. That way you're keeping the sides of your blanket straight, right? A trick that I've heard from other yarny friends is if you put a stitch marker in every 10th stitch, then instead of having to count every stitch, you just count the markers. It's a quick way to count how many stitches are in your row without actually counting how many stitches are in your row. When it comes to blankets, it's a good tip to count how many stitches are in every row just to make sure you're staying on track. All right, I'm gonna have links to everything you see here in both the comment section and description section below this video. So if you need help getting your hands on anything, all you have to do is click on that link, purchase the item, and have it shipped directly to you. That way you're using exactly what I'm using. Otherwise, feel free to at least have something on hand that you're ready to go with the project, and let's dive into actually making our Popsicle Baby Blanket. All right, so this particular pattern that we are going to be working is called the crunch stitch. Now the crunch stitch is worked in a multiple stitch count of multiple of 2 plus 1. Now go ahead and feel free to refer to the chart, find which blanket size you want to make, look at how many stitches are in that foundation row, and make that number of stitches if you'd like. Or if you want to deviate, just follow the multiple stitch count requirement of multiple of 2 plus 1. Now for me, I'm just making a small little swatch because I want to get through all the instructions faster for you. So go ahead and taking the yarn, leaving a long enough tail for you to weave in the ends at the end of your project. Create your slip knot, attach your crochet hook, and we are ready to go. So multiple of 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. All right. Multiple of 2 and then plus 1, 1. All right, my foundation row is done. All right, so for row 1, what we're going to do is we are going to slip stitch in the 3rd chain from our crochet hook. So counting our V stitches, 1, 2, 3, slip stitch. Great. That skipped 2 chains counts as our first half double crochet stitch. Keep that in mind. All right. Next, we're going to make a half double crochet stitch. And then slip stitch. And then half double crochet. And slip stitch. And that's the repeat pattern for row 1. Half double crochet and slip stitch. All right, at the very end of row 1, you're going to make a slip stitch. So half double crochet, last chain, slip stitch. Perfect. Now let's move on to row 2. For row 2, we will chain 2. 1, 2. Turn our work. Turn. Awesome. So that chain 2 counts as our first half double crochet stitch, and we'll actually take the spot of the very first stitch space. So the first stitch we're going to make is a slip stitch on top of the half double crochet stitch. Slip stitch, and then make a half double crochet on top of the slip stitch. What's great about this pattern is all you're doing is repeating single or slip stitch and half double crochet, slip stitch, half double crochet. You're referring to the row below and making the opposite. So if this stitch was a half double crochet stitch, I'm making a slip stitch. And that's just what you repeat all the way across for row 2. All right, at the end of row 2, now this is going to be where it gets tricky. I want you to pay really close attention here. Row 2, we're going to make our half double crochet stitch, but we want to end every row with a slip stitch. So we're supposed to actually add one more stitch, but it's kind of hard to see that. It's kind of hard to tell, right? So make sure you never end on a half double crochet stitch. You always add that last stitch, that last slip stitch. Okay, a good way to tell also is by counting the number of stitches that you have in row 2. So you'll take your foundation row chain. For example, you made 100 chains for your foundation row chain. In row 1, you're going to have one less stitch than you did how many chains. So in row 1, you'll have 99 chains. So in row 1, you'll have 99 stitches. Okay? So row 1 has 99, row 2 should also have 99 stitches. In fact, every single row here on out should have the same number of stitches that you had in row 1. So it's a great way to keep track that you're keeping everything straight. Another thing that you could do right now is pull out those stitch markers. Just go ahead and grab a color that will be easy to spot, easy contrast. Now this of course is optional, but I'm going to place one in the very first stitch, and I'm going to place one in the very last stitch that I just made to help me stay on track. All right, so all we're doing is repeating row 2 for the rest of the project. That's it. We chain 2, 1, 2. Again, that chain 2 counts as our first stitch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move my stitch marker. I'm going to place it around that chain 2 I just made. There we go. And then I'll start by slip stitching into the top of that first half double crochet stitch. And then repeating the pattern all the way across. Half double crochet, slip stitch, half double crochet, slip stitch. If you're making a longer, bigger blanket, count now. Now is where you want to count so that way you can have an easier time later in the project. Count however many stitches you want and then add a stitch marker. That way you can have that little cheat of not counting every single row or counting every stitch in every row, but say every 5 stitches, every 10 stitches, add a stitch marker there. That way you can quickly count how many stitches are in that row. Half double crochet. And then end with the slip stitch. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this stitch marker and place it into that slip stitch I just made with the 2 loops on the top. Perfect, and I'm good to go. That's it. That's all we have to do for the crunch stitch that we are using for this Popsicle Baby Blanket. But before I let you go, I want to show you how to join yarn onto your project, because it's very likely that you're going to be using multiple skeins of yarn to complete your blanket. So I want to show you the invisible knot trick that I use on all of my projects. I love it. I love it, love it. Swear by it. So I'm going to cut my yarn pretending that I'm running out of yarn. I've been working. I need to attach more yarn. So I chained 2 at the end of my row. I'll take my stitch marker out, turn my work, attach my stitch marker by going around the chain 2. There we go. I'm going to work a couple stitches. So skipping first stitch, slip stitch into the half double crochet, then half double crochet up. I'm running out of yarn. Oh no, so I'm going to back it up, give myself a little more slack. Okay, I'm going to have the yarn that's attached to my project, I'm going to have it go this direction. All right, I'm going to grab a new skein of yarn. Preferably try to find a new skein of yarn where the beginning pull or the center pull will be the same color of yarn that you are finishing your project with. Okay, so you want these colors preferably to be the same color. If they're not, it's not the end of the world. It's fine. All right, so go ahead and bud those 2 up against each other. Again, this yarn that's attached to the project going this direction, brand new yarn going that direction. butted up against each other. Take 2 fingers, wrap the 2 yarns around your 2 fingers. Grab the little tail here, go over the 2 yarns between your fingers so that the little tail is pointing towards your fingernails. Grab that tail, remove your fingers and pull, and that'll form a knot. Great. Now let's make our way to the other side. So 2 strings of yarn, 2 fingers, wrap around your 2 fingers, grab the tiny tail, go over the 2 strands of yarn between your fingers so it's pointing towards your fingernail. Grab the tail, remove your fingers, and pull for a knot. Now you'll have 2 knots. Grab the string attached to your project and the string attached to the new skein of yarn and pull, and those 2 knots will come in towards each other and form a very strong knot, a very strong join. I use this all the time. That knot stays put. In fact, you can cut the tails really close to that knot and it doesn't go anywhere. It is perfectly fine. Great. And then when you continue working, keep working, working, working. So there's the join. The join camouflages into the work and you have nothing to come back and address, no ends to weave in. You're done. And you just continue on. And then when you come back to look at where'd that join go, it has camouflaged into the work beautifully. Again, nothing to worry about. You can just continue working on your project. Awesome, right? So again, that is called the invisible knot join. Feel free to use it if you want to. I use it all the time. It's my favorite joining method, but if you have a different joining method that you really like, feel free to use that. This was just a trick that I thought I'd show you so you can have something in your back pocket just in case you need it. All right, so this is the project. This is the crunch stitch. Just keep repeating row 2 until you've finished your project. Check out those charts that I provided for you so you know how many chains that you're going to need in your foundation row, how many rows you're going to need to make your desired blanket dimension, and also it'll help you to know approximately how much yarn you're going to need to make your blanket. And if you are using the exact same yarn that I'm using, I should also tell you approximately how many skeins of yarn you'll need to buy to make that size blanket you desire. All right, guys, that's it. That's all there is to it for the Popsicle Baby Blanket. I really hope you give it a try. This blanket is so much fun and the colors are just amazing. I mean, honestly, my motto is don't just crochet something to crochet something, make a memory. And this blanket 100% hands down does just that. All right, if you had fun watching this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't yet, subscribe to my channel. That way you don't miss my upcoming videos. I have some great ones and you're not gonna wanna miss out. Also check out my membership program. I have some great levels if you want a little bit more out of my channel. Thank you so much for spending time with me today, crocheting with me. I love crocheting with you. If you had fun with this video, check out these other videos right here, more blanket videos for you to dive into, or check out this video, which is just a recommended video for you to watch. I'll see you with the next one, guys. Bye.